Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness with your luscious hostess, May Vu, broadcasting live every Monday at 12 noon Pacific Time.
Hello, this is May Vu, and I am here with my two guests today, Brandon Williams and Ellen Williams. They are a hot couple who are on a really courageous journey to work with each other to keep the fire between their relationship ignited and hot and burning. And their journey of beginning this marriage has been incredible. And I'm waiting for them to call in any time, but they're not here yet. So anyway, I wanted to just talk about that for a second because this is they actually have inspired me to do a series of hot love topic. What does it take for a couple, a monogamous couple, or a couple who choose to be polyamorous? It doesn't really matter what the structure is, but when you're together with another person for a longer period of time, and you're attempting to make the relationship hot, it's challenging. It's really hard to keep the fire burning hot and to really be everything to each other. So I wanted to keep grabbing stories of different couples who are doing it so that we can be inspired by them and really learn from them. And Brandon and Ellen are up to some really big stuff with each other. And so will you just tell the audience how long you've been married together? Just like a little stats, like how old are you, where do you live, and how long you've been married, and then we'll dive in.
So we've been married for 3 years.
Yep, almost 3 years now.
Yeah, it'll be 3 years in November, and we're both 26.
Nice.
And we live in San Francisco.
Yay! And you've been described by my friend Ben and Jen Rody of Exposed to Sexual Healing to be like one of the greatest couple that people should know.
They're so sweet.
I know, right? And so, anyway, will you just share a little bit about how you met and quickly how you met and then what's the big, how you start your life together, with the big thing, and then we'll catch up to where you are today and what it is I'm sorry. So part of what I'm doing here is I'm creating a new series called Hot Love, and I'm attempting to answer the mysterious questions of how do you make love hot, a relationship hot, and how do you keep the heat in your relationship going? So that's really where the gem of our conversation will rest into. Sounds good?
Oh, yeah,
sounds
absolutely.
Great.
We can definitely gear our conversation towards that. I'm sitting on Brandon's lap right now, which is why we giggled a little bit when you said keeping it hot. Go ahead, Deb.
That's sweet.
So we actually met in high school. We were high school sweethearts. I met Ellen freshman year at a dance when she saw me over the crowd and decided to come up and ask me to dance. And I, of course, said, uh-huh.
You're so hot.
He is.
And we dated for about 6 months, freshman year in high school, until I decided to break up with her. I will never live that one down.
No, I wouldn't let him touch my boobies, and he just decided that was what he wanted to do when he was 14 years old. But we stayed very close friends, and then met up again in college.
Yep, and in college she came to one of my volleyball matches, and we got back together and started dating then, and have been together ever since.
Nice.
We were married at the music concourse in Golden Gate Park on November 6th.
Yes.
And Yeah, that was right after the car accident, which is kind of the impetus for this radio interview, I guess, because we had no problem keeping it hot when we were both two young, healthy, hot, we were both competitive college athletes, and like the heat in the bedroom was just not a problem.
Right.
But when I was both of us were in a car accident, but I had my foot up on the dash and my foot went through the window. And I broke my back and most of the joints on the right side of my body, and that was just everything stopped. Sex stops, affinity stops, everything stops when you're just not able to move or function or.
Well, and you were in pain anytime you did move, so that was really hard.
So that was it was coming back from that. I was 23.
You were 23, and you were engaged to be married, and then this thing happened.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, we were engaged. We had a date figured out. We were getting venues together, and I was coming back from a training run. I was a competitive athlete, a competitive runner, and Brandon paces me in on the bike when I used to go on my training runs to make sure I come in really fast as I went out, and. I just fell asleep. It was just a really hard run, and it was a good run, and I fell asleep on the way home, and the woman ran into us from behind. So, we really just. I mean, there was a whole year there where there was really no affinity, or love in our relationship, and then the physical contact was just completely non-existent.
Wow.
I don't know. What do you want to say about that, babe? Like how you saw me?
I mean, from my perspective, it was very hard because I was so worried about hurting her, and I felt like we tried anything, I was hurting her, and that just completely shut me down. And then I had a very hard time as well, emotionally, with her having been injured and having, and just not knowing how to relate, because it changed all of how we could interact. And I started essentially running away without actually physically running away. I started just shutting her out.
Wow.
Doing the long hours at work and that whole world.
That totally makes sense, right? I mean, it's such a new world. Like most of us, we're good for a contract that feels good, but when things get really hard, we don't know how to function that way.
Exactly, and especially like we had no tool in our relationship for how to deal with each other when things weren't great.
Yeah. And so what kept you committed to staying through that part? Because you didn't know that this year was going to be over, that things going to be better. Did you?
No, I mean, we didn't know. I had my last orthopedic surgery I've had 7 orthopedic surgeries in the last 4 years, and I had my last one in June. Wow. So, I mean, we didn't even know after that if I was going to be okay or healed again. And it was just, it was a decision. It was a commitment to get married. And I don't know, like, Brandon, what would you say around? I don't know why you married me when things were that bad.
Yeah, why did you marry her? Why did you marry her?
I married her because I knew that I loved her. I knew that she was the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and it was not based on the fact that we had great sex or anything like that. It was just based on the fact that I click with her. I click with her mind. I click with her humor, and it just I had no doubt in my mind. We had each gone through dating other people, and every time I always knew that she was definitely better than them, and there was nobody that was ever going to compare to her.
Well, not better, just really match well.
And a better match for me.
Yeah.
And better, a lot better. But I just, I wasn't about to. I wanted to find a way to make sure that it worked. And it's, even though it was really hard and it was was struggling through it at that point, I still knew that she was the one I wanted to marry.
Yeah. And so how did you do with the no sex, no affinity, no, pretty much not much touching other than helping her get up and down and move or whatever, right?
I really shut down when that was going on. I mean, like Ellen said, I started working long hours. I started, basically finding as much time away as I could because it was, I could not process her being so injured and in so much pain and so much hurt. And so my response was to try to not deal with it, which was certainly not healthy.
Well,
and it just, that put even more of a strain.
Yeah.
Because we were the kind of couple that would go backpacking. Like, that's one of Brandon's favorite things to do. And we just go out for a week or two by ourselves and just be together. We were such an active physical couple. It was completely different. And I was just this little angry ball in the bed, all day. And
oh, wow. So he was withdrawn and you were a ball of anger.
Oh, I was angry at him. I had somehow convinced myself that he was responsible, that he could have done something to make it, like, just all of the anger and resentment, everything that I could project onto him, I did.
Yeah, sounds like a perfect marriage, actually, because that's
oh my gosh.
And he's not the guy.
And I don't know if it was better or worse that we were so newly married, because, but I mean, that's what it came down to. So we went to personal development. I went away to a meditation camp to really Vipassana, to really get a hold of my anger, like recognize that it was a problem. And then we started doing our landmark education together. And I remember we went into one of the courses and we weren't speaking to each other.
Yeah. But we weren't about to give up still.
But we weren't going to give up on the marriage. We were sitting there angry at each other on opposite sides of the room, glaring at each other the entire time. And
that's amazing.
Oh, it's just, and if you meet us now, you wouldn't believe that we were like that. But we absolutely were. We were so angry with one another. And that's what turned it around. It was just the fact that we wouldn't give up. And then, so after we really decided to stick through it as a couple, it was bringing the heat back into it and relearning my body. I mean, I have a newfound respect for women who have just had a child or, had any kind of physical problem. Like, it just, it's completely different. It completely changes your relationship to your body. You feel kind of betrayed in that your body isn't doing what it should do.
Right, and the old expectation of how it should be and everything.
Exactly, and how sex should be and how it should feel and what we should be doing.
And how much was let down by our body and this thing happened to us. Isn't that amazing the story that our brain makes up around something like that?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, and on top of that, I mean, from the guy's perspective, it was something for me it just killed my entire mojo because I was used to being able to turn Ellen on with, a look and basically no effort at all. And then all of a sudden, like, I couldn't do that anymore, and I didn't know why. And that just, my brain started spinning on that, and I lost all of my mojo when it came to the bedroom because I couldn't figure out how to get it turned on.
This show is about sex, lies, and consciousness, so let's just not speak in buzzwords, so you lost your erection. You couldn't get it up. Is that what happened?
Yeah. That's exactly it.
I was definitely struggling with keeping my erection, and then I was having a hard time with even my sex drive because I was ashamed of what I couldn't do anymore.
Well, and in that space, like I had been to doctors and we were working on it, and then the doctors, the like Western back doctors were kind of saying, oh, well, it's very possible that you severed your nerves in the accident and you could never have an orgasm again. So we were walking around under the assumption that I could never orgasm again.
Oh,
and then
great.
for that, and then like Brandon is so into the other person and the pleasure of his partner.
I get turned on when she's turned on.
Exactly. And so he really couldn't get turned on, and I had it, like absolutely had it as a truth that I would never orgasm again. And so why the hell do you want to have sex if you're not going to orgasm? And so we just kind of lived in this sexless state for at least 18 to 20 months.
Wow.
And then
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, it just seems so crazy making it kind of like here you are at the beginning of your marriage, and you already like take on a life sentence or something. You know, like I guess I did it now. You know, she may be my companion, but there ain't gonna be sex here.
Yeah, Brandon chained to this, you know, sexless woman. I honestly still don't understand that.
But at the same time that there was that struggle, she was still fun, and even through the pain, managed to be absolutely hilariously funny, and witty and brilliant. And
my sarcasm wasn't interesting.
Yeah. And still very smart. And so, I mean, I was still extremely attracted to her. Yeah. With all of that.
There's a saving grace right there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess. But what it came down to was just when we got the relationship component sorted, I was just not willing to give up on making love to my husband, on really having that like physical, sexual, passionate connection that we had that was so strong. And then the other thing that I wasn't willing to give up on is having a family, having children with a wonderful man. And so both of those things, I just started looking. I was on a hunt. And I'm such a research maven. I was just, looking everywhere and trying to find things and drugs and like pharmaceuticals and whatever we could look. And so I had all of these like stacks and stacks of research everywhere. And I was sitting in an office answering phones for Landmark Education, and I overheard a conversation, and it was Ben from Explosive Sexual Healing. This is like back in the day when it was just like Ben and Jen had just gotten together, and their business was still really small. And I was listening like before they blew up, and I was listening to his conversation. I was like, oh shit, like I want that. I want what he said. So I looked at him and I said, okay, when he got off the phone, I was just like, I was eavesdropping. I need your card, like right now. And I handed it to Brandon.
Let's bring the audience in on this a little bit. Some people may know, and probably others may not, but who we're referring to is Ben and Jen Rohde. Their business name is called Explosive Sexual Healing, and you can look them up, explosivesexualhealing.com. And what Ben and Jen do that is so amazing and miraculous, and both Ellen and I have experienced their work, is that they use the technology of bringing a woman into ejaculation state so that she can clear out all the crap in this lifetime and previous lifetimes that she may have stored in her wombs and vagina that she never knew that was in there. And most of us never know, when we go into this work with them, we never know how deep things are, how much there is in there. We all have a sense of like, we don't like this about our life, and we want some change, and this sounds like it has some big resonance to us, that it can do something big for us, but we never know how big the transformation is and how quickly it happened. So Ellen knew that, she doesn't know what it is and what she could do, but you knew to say, get me on that table.
And that was exactly it. I just,
he was still in Berkeley at the time, and I just said, I actually handed the card to Brandon, and I said, call this guy and see if this is something that we can do.
Yeah.
And so Brandon and Ben had a great conversation, and he set me up an appointment, and we've just been working. We worked with them. Brandon's done his own work with his sexual healer, Valerie, that has been incredible. And it's really opened up a space for us. I mean, I would say that we're having better, more expressive, more explosive sex. Even within physical limitations, that was one of my goals after my ankle surgery, because I knew I was going to be down, I had to be down flat on my back for 6 weeks, and I was just I am not giving up sex in the 6 weeks. We're going to find a way to have incredible sex with me with my ankle all wrapped up.
I love it. I love this. There's a central theme here. It's the determination. This is going to happen. And
yes.
it shows up, right? And I want to hear a little bit, a lot more about your work, Brandon, with Valerie in working with a sexologist, because, I don't think we get to talk about that openly enough, and I don't think men and women really get to be exposed to this enough so that it becomes good education for us. It's still kind of get mixed up with thinking that you're just having an affair on the side, or you're hiring some sex worker to work with you or something. So tell us in more details on what it is that you do with Valerie, your sexologist.
So a lot of it is focused around breaking through a lot of the barriers that I have around just being fully expressive during sex and around sex. On top of what happened as a result of the car accident and Ellen's injuries, just from growing up and everything, I was very reserved and very withdrawn and had a lot of issues in my mind around sex being wrong and sex being unacceptable and sex being something that should be hidden. Not talked about even with my wife. And it was so ingrained in my head that
you didn't know
that
that's even ingrained in your head, right?
I wasn't even really aware of how ingrained it was.
It's just that this is just how things should be.
Yeah. And so the work that I've done with Valerie is through a little bit of conversation and talking about kind of trying to dig into what my blocks are. And then it's massage work and stimulation work. Around the goal of getting me to orgasm. And it's focused on confronting my barriers, confronting what makes me uncomfortable in sex.
So, May, Brandon has never orgasmed, ejaculated, through oral stimulation or hand stimulation. Ever.
Okay.
And not for lack of trying. This is something that I consider myself fairly skilled at. And we would we try for an hour and a half, and I'd just be like, okay, I'm done. I don't know what to tell you. And it just wasn't happening. And after a couple of sessions with Valerie, he doesn't have that block anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
It doesn't exist.
And on top of that, I learned some amazing breathing techniques for getting me to be able to completely focus on my own feeling in my body during sex and during foreplay. And that just makes everything feel so much more amazing. And it gets me past all those blocks.
Nice. Okay, great. Gosh, I'm wondering what do the men want to know out there? Oh, so very, very basic questions. So do you get to have sex with her?
No, the way that she works is that it's it talks for a little bit at the beginning, and then I lay down on the it's basically a massage table.
Yep.
Naked, and she starts with massage.
Yeah.
To get me to relax, and then moves towards just physically stimulating me, and just with her hands. So I do not have sex with her, but I do orgasm.
Nice.
But it's all around me just receiving stimulation and receiving pleasure.
Right. And so, help people out here. I know this is a very basic question, but how is this different than, say, you're working with a sex worker? Well, or you're paying someone to jerk you off?
So the difference is that with her, I'm also working on, I mean, she's talking to me about different techniques of breathing, and beforehand we kind of pick out some of my blocks, something that I'm uncomfortable with that would, if I got past this, would make sex a whole lot better.
Yeah.
And then she focuses on that. And while I'm working on breathing techniques that help me just stop thinking about things and just enjoy it. Yeah. And so that way it's really, it's more like focused and intentional. Yeah. It intentionally attacking the specific block that I have until I get past it.
So like
it's more.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's more about receiving pleasure in the process than it is about like the end goal of just ejaculating. Right.
Okay, great. I hope I covered that question.
Well, I mean that's and Ben and Jen's practice is very similar. Like I dedicate my practice to not only my own personal enjoyment and health, but also to like the amazing relationship that I am forming with my husband in that practice. Yeah. So that's very much how my work with Ben and Jen goes. It's the same kind of like pleasure and receiving and stimulation and just ridiculous orgasm. I mean, you know that. And but it's in a way that is very intentional. And that Brandon has now learned. Like, that's the great thing about working with them is that Brandon's picked up the tools of the trade. So
which
we get to bring those home.
For me. Talk about giving me my manly mojo back.
What's one thing that you pick up that all men should learn?
Well, I think all men should learn how to give women G-spot orgasm. I went in for like I guess it was like a 4-hour training with Ben, where he trained me how to give Ellen G-spot orgasm. And after as a guy, when I get to give my wife that kind of like screaming orgasm, I walk around with my head held high.
That's so cute. And what's it like for you, Ellen, to send your husband to work with a woman, around his sexuality? Was there any jealousy that came up or anything?
So, really, I mean, I'm the one that pursued Valerie. Like, I'm the one that started that conversation. We actually helped her get through school, her education, because that was something that was so important. Ben and Jen approached me and said, we want to be able to offer what we do for women for men. And I said, yes, sign me up. We are on board. If all men could feel like this comfortable in their skin as I feel now, like there would be no war. War would not exist.
And I certainly took no convincing.
And so, I mean, like, there has been one hard piece just in the fact that she was able to achieve something that I've been working, like I said, I've been working to try and get Brandon off Gibbs & Head and get him off for years. Yeah. And this woman could do it in an afternoon. And there was this moment where I just kind of, like, breathed through it of, oh, you know, like, that was supposed to be my thing, and that she could do it and I couldn't do it. But, like, the expertise that she's bringing to this and the study and the time, and then I get to enjoy that. I get to, all of the fruits of her labor I get to take home and live with and love and have in my life. And so I'm not going to lie to you, there was that moment, but totally passing.
Yeah. Like, well, I don't want to step over that moment too quickly because that is a very courageous thing. I mean, like, not only did you seek out her phone number and then you said yes and you know, signed a check and you sent your husband in and then he had a great time, and it's like, you know, like, there must be several moments that go, well, what if I'm not good enough after that? What if he's going to want her? Like, we get so easily confused between professional and hot sex, and then we have to marry them and take them home kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I guess I was never really worried, though Valerie is incredibly beautiful. And
sensuous.
Oh my God, she's wonderful. Yes, and just incredible, right? And it was both Brandon and I can't speak to anyone else's experience, but both Brandon and I entered into this with such an intention of bringing this back to each other. So that was really where we were coming from, and we have the kind of relationship where if there was some feelings or that had come up, that we would talk about it. I'm sure that could be something that happens in other relationships. But the other thing about both Ben and Jen and Valerie is they are super clear on boundaries. Mm-hmm. Like, when you sign up for their services, there's a contract, and it's all of these pages of, like, we will not have sex, we are not swingers, we are committed to each other, we are committed to our partner. Like, it's super clear. It's super clear. The boundaries are very, very concrete. And I think that really helps facilitate that kind of comfort.
Nice.
Yeah.
So since we're doing this as the beginning of the series for Hot Love, what would you say? Well, I'm assuming that your love making and your relationships are now hot or hotter and getting hotter every day. Is that fair?
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
How do we know? What evidence does that show?
It's just the frequency with which we have sex. Like, we were never spontaneous, or we're never really spontaneous lovemakers, and now it's just like this wonderful thing that happens. You know, it's just like he'll be in the shower and I'll wake up because I hear him rumbling around, and we'll just go into the shower and we'll have amazing hot. We actually have a gorgeous shower, but we have a ledge in our shower, so it's perfect for me. Like, we've figured out ways to work with my physical limitations to be able to still have sex. So he can just, like, push me up against that, and we are ready to go. Like, it's just we've kind of figured that out. We have what's the wedge thing that we have called that's so amazing?
Oh yeah, I can't remember what it's called. The sex wedge.
We have our sex wedge, which really kind of helps support my back. So, but that doesn't take away from how incredible it is. Like, we have learned to work with each other's bodies, and I've basically I've had to relearn my body, and then I've had to reteach Brandon, like, what my body looks like and does, and I mean, I used to be a size 2 to 4, and now I'm a size 8 to 10. So it's a totally different body that I live in.
Right.
So that was, it's all been this kind of getting used to, but not in a bad way. It's a discovery, and it's so, and that's what we bring to it. I mean, What else do you have to say?
I think the other comment that I'd like to make is that I went from being like completely checked out, hands off, to where now very often Ellen will have to tell me to cut it out and leave her alone because she has to get ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just be all over her, and I can't keep my hands off of her.
Oh,
yeah,
that's so
our conversations are now like, I don't know if it's socially appropriate to grab my ass during a football game. Like,
oh no, the
maybe
answer
we should tone that down a little bit.
No. I don't think so. I think you should turn it up.
So, but those are the conversations that we're having these days. It's just like maybe not at the company picnic, like maybe just a little bit less.
Oh,
but
I think that's super sweet. So, like, what? Let's say if we have to, okay, each one of us get to pick one thing that we said. This thing to me is the secret ingredient to hot love. What would you pick? And I'll pick one from your story.
Okay. Do you have yours?
Mine would have to be G-spot orgasm, because that just opens up everything else.
Okay, great. Thank you.
The other piece to this was for Valentine's Day, I got Brandon a rope course.
Oh, yeah.
So we did the kind of like tantric ropes and bondage. And
I heard about her. I want to do that too. She's amazing.
Oh, my gosh. She is wonderful.
That was super. That was another one of my barriers.
Give us a little bit. So
sorry?
She comes to your home and show you both from the tantric and the BDSM world how to tie Ellen up in a way that make her scream and holler. Did I describe?
That's exactly it. Like I was definitely. I'm a very dominant person. That's just kind of my nature. Yeah. And so like most dominant women, there's this desire to be conquered, to be to be submissive and so that really wasn't happening in our sexual relationship prior to just in our sexual history, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And that was a piece that I wanted to add. So that was my Valentine's Day gift to him, and he thought he was going to be the one getting tied up, and so he was just really disappointed it was going to be me. and I just said, no, this is what we need. And he was just like, oh, well, you kind of got yourself a Valentine's gift. I'm like, yeah, I kind of did.
that present wasn't for him. That was for you.
A little bit.
Then I had like a big concerns with like being in control. Like I was very uncomfortable being in control in sex.
So this was incredible because it was she worked with him as well. Like, yes, we learned how to tie me up so that I'm completely bound and just he has full control over me, and that was incredibly beyond description.
In a way that is extremely sexy.
Yeah, and it makes your boobs look great. It's awesome. And so that was all fantastic. But the part of that was the most powerful in our relationship was the piece where she really taught Brandon how to stand in his masculine. That's the word. That's the term that she uses.
Right.
But just to be able to really just feel masculine. And so we have these times now where I'm feeling like I want to be held and just really cared for, and he can just step in easily to that masculine and just completely support me. And that was non-existent. So my words are exploration. Just keep looking for something. Something seems hot and sexy to you. You see it in porn. You see it wherever you see it. And you're just like, okay, people actually do these things and learn these things, and you can learn them together. Yeah. So exploration is the word. And then just having that masculine energy, just being
cultivating
that masculine.
Cultivating and bringing it back out. The trouble with men nowadays is that we, us women, I'll take responsibility for this. You know, we have trained you to be so nice and so gentle and so congenial to us that we kill your masculine, and it's like, oh my gosh, you guys have to get it back and take it back from us and take it back for yourself and re-engage, like what Brandon that you had to go through, so that you can find your masculine. And man, your woman will melt, swoon, and get all wet down there. When the man is hot, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so funny because when I learned this.
Yeah.
It had such an amazing effect on Ellen, where, like you said, she just melted. She just swooned. It was like, oh, okay.
Well,
I like
you know
this.
what, Brandon, I'm a total advocate that you should use that also in the boardroom and just make every woman in that room wet. And, they can't do anything about it, but they're going to just, love you and do everything for you, honey. You'll make you a hot leader, too.
Exactly. Well, and then with men feed off of that energy too, because it's not something that's common in our society. The relationship that he's had to his male peers has transformed in that one session. We met with her once.
Yeah, totally.
And so that's my word, is exploration. Whatever seems interesting, do it, and have a commitment to each other. It might be crazy. Try it once.
Nice.
That would be my thing.
For me, my thing from your story is determination. Just decide and commit and determine that you're going to have that hot love, that you're going to find each other, that you're going to create it, and that you're going to do anything. You're going to face every insecurities inside yourself in order to show up for your partner, and just go for it, and don't stop, and then start exploring and learn how to perform G-spot massage.
It doesn't hurt.
You're golden.
Yeah.
I love how each one of us, why we say what we say. Brendan, I think you represent the men very well. Just learn to make her squirt. It will all be good.
You can't go wrong with that.
You just can't go wrong around that one. and Ellen, yours is make her swoon, take her, learn to take your masculine so that she can surrender. It's like, for us women, that's all we want. So it's like, yay. Anyway, thank you so much to both of you for being here and for sharing your story, and also the intimate detail of your work with Valerie, the sexologist. Is that what she's called? I forget. Body sexologist?
Sorry, title.
Anyway, whatever.
I'm not sure what her title is.
I'm actually due to experience a session with her, so I'm going to see what it's like from the female perspective. What can she do for me? No, I'm just kidding. And
hey, report back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then and also your work with Ben and Jen Rody on explosive sexual healing. They're amazing work. I totally endorse them. Tell them we send you to them. After you hear the show, that would be great. They'll give you their special. So tell them that Sex Lives and Consciousness send you. And then what else?
Well, and if they need a recommendation, any of your listeners want to get more information either from how Brandon felt or how I felt during that whole process, we can make ourselves available if you want to contact May, and then she can forward your contact information.
Thank you for that.
Because I'm just a huge advocate for this work in terms of what it opens up for couples or just women or,
Or for husbands.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah. I realized we didn't even mention about your family, right? You just adopted 2 beautiful girls, is that right?
So we're foster parents. We are fostering 2 teenage daughters. I'm listening to her talk on the phone in the other room right now, actually. So we have 2 14-year-olds.
Wow. That's amazing.
And it's opened up a whole new world for us, too, in terms of really taking time for each other as a couple, which is a lot easier, of course, when you have older children. But we just are much more intentional about it now. It's become even more important that time for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then absolutely. I also wonder how your sexual freedom and understanding also can translate to these beautiful young ladies here, that are growing into their sexuality.
It's been very, very different for them to hear us be. So I'm trying to slowly bring sexuality as a age appropriate. And what a wonderful thing, a thing that Brandon and I share. And so they see us together. They see Brandon grabbing my ass. They see like the closeness that we have and the space that we create for each other. And I think that in seeing that and being able to come to me, and they have come to me about their relationships, just being able to have that open communication and know that what they're doing is not ugly, it's not shameful, it's not wrong. This is part of exploration and development, and then that allows for safety and for respect in the relationships that they're going into now that they're young teenagers.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. I think it's amazing how you can bring a new perspective, a new approach to this for them.
Right, because a lot of the care that's provided really has a much more traditionally religious undertone, which is much more sex is wrong, sex is ugly, what you're feeling, your body shameful, and to have a woman who's very confident in her body, even as it's changing. Like, I don't trash my body ever.
Yeah, yay.
And to have the girls be around that. I'm already seeing more confidence in a very, just a very tough time. Being a teenage girl is tough. Yeah. So it's been incredible.
Oh, blessings to you both. I'm so glad that you're there, and I'm so glad that you're on. We'll finally get the show, recorded and
oh my
on.
God.
This is such an important conversation, and I look forward to enrolling you in other angles of these conversations, like how do you talk to your teens about sex and that kind of stuff, because I'm very passionate about finding new ways to share this beautiful information to our children and the children around our children, so that it's not just religious overtone and shaming sex and destroying our desires.
Absolutely.
We are enrolled. We are available, and this has been wonderful. So thank you for working with us and our busy schedule. And anytime we'd love to talk to you again. So anytime you need us, we're here.
Oh, thank you. So can they find you on Facebook? Would you like people to find you if that's the case? Yeah, so Ellen and Brandon Williams, so you can look for them, Brandon Williams or Ellen Williams, and they're on Facebook. And so am I, May Vu, M-A-I-V-U. All right, so thank you so much for listening and for you two for being on the show today. I really appreciate this conversation. It's beautiful and heartwarming, and I look forward to sharing more hot loves with my audience. In fact, in 2 weeks, I'm actually flying to Sweden to do a hot love event. I'm piloting a program over there for my Swedish clients where they get to bring their partners over, and we're going to spend a whole day and into the evening together to build the heat that we're talking about. And I'm just going to touch on a bit of everything that we talk about and bring it to them and help the men reclaim their masculine and help the women surrender and help them leave the place hot and horny for each other and remember the fire and how to turn it back on again. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm excited about this series of interviews for Hot Love and getting more couples conversations about this most interesting and most wanted subject, for couples out there. So thank you so much, and yay, yeah. So stay tuned to the next episode, and in the meantime, you can listen to all the archives on sexliesandconsciousness.com. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.